and welcome to another episode of Voices of IWA. I am your host, Iyas, and Voices of IWA is a podcast that amplifies the voices of women throughout the African diaspora who are practicing our African and ancestral traditions. This first season of Voices of IWA has been all about the roles of women in our traditions. We've talked about the role of mother, we've talked about the role of wife, we've talked about the role of daughter, we've talked about the role of the creator, Iya Agba, Iya Losha, Iya Nifa, like we've just been going down the gamut. And all of this this season will conclude with a in-person convening where we will all be getting together. We'll be honoring women from across the country who have been doing the work in our traditions. We'll be looking at, where do we want to be in the next 10 years as a sisterhood of women that believe in the same thing. And we'll really just be celebrating our culture, celebrating our community, and connecting to one another. So that's on Saturday, March 29th. Just keep that in mind. The link is in the comments. But today last week we talked about the role of wife. And this week we want to talk about, this is an extension of that same conversation of wife, but looking at the specific role of APETEBI. And APETEBI is the wife of Orunmila. So sitting here with me are two other fellow APETEBIs, right? We are married to Babalawos. And so we want to kind of talk about this role and the importance of this role and how this role impacts our traditions and even impacts our own lives, individually and collectively. So what we do is we just start off by talking a little bit about yourself, right? Who you are, and also how did you come to the African traditions? Like, how did you come to practice the Yoruba traditions?
Okay.
Anybody can go first.
Well, my name is IfaTola Osunyode. I am the wife of a Babalawo, IfaTola OGUNYemi, and we both run Orisha Temple of Light in Douglasville, Georgia. I came to West African spiritualities I'll say it's been about 7 years now. And I found the tradition, I would say by happenstance. I had relocated to Atlanta, Georgia, and I was looking for a church home, not to join, but to just stay in touch with God. And, but other things were calling to me. I had started to learn about Orishas, and I just happened to, through a friend of mine's, get a reading from a priestess, but she was a priestess of Palo. Okay. And she told me, she said, your walk is Ifa. And I said, Ifa. Now I heard of Orishas. I hadn't heard of Ifa. And so my friend said, well, I have a Babalawo you can speak with. Long story short, I spent some time with that Ile, and I said, nice, but not for me. And my journey started. My journey started, and I met my first Aluo. And when I met my first Aluo, and I seen him chant, and I see he invited me to Oshe Ifa, I said, you know what, this seems about right. And I worked with him, and then through him, by happenstance again, I saw my husband. But I didn't know he was going to be my husband, nor was I thinking this man is going to be my husband one day, but I liked his outfit. Right. And I took a picture of him. So to this day, I don't know if I did any kind of extra work on myself. Like, was that some type of spiritual work that just happened? Because I did record him and took a picture of his outfit. And today he is my husband. That's the short story.
Nice. Hey, Kasan, my name is Iyas OgunYemi, Ifafunmilayo. I am married to Baba Ogunshola Ajayi of Oshogbo, Nigeria. I came into spirituality maybe about 8 years ago as well. My story is a little cliche. I had a dream. And in that dream, it included me and my children. And we were sitting somewhere. I can't recall the vicinity, but we were sitting there. And as we're sitting there, we were surrounded by a group of individuals. And what I know to be now, those were my ancestors. Some of them I knew, some of them I didn't know. Some faces were showing, some faces weren't.
Okay.
This particular most recent ancestor I had was my grandmother. And she spoke to me. And she told me that I needed to take my son to see Baba to save his life. At the time, I had a childhood friend, OgunYemi. I knew that him and his wife were in the West African culture. So I reached out to him and told him that I need to take my son to see Baba, which is my first Oluwa, Baba Rashan.
Okay.
And immediately I took my son to get that reading off the rip. We just took off reels running. It was divine for him. He needs to be initiated, things like that. So that actually started my West African tradition journey, my son, and wanted to save his life.
Nice.
Yes.
Wow, beautiful. So, and I'm jumping around, y'all. If you watch the podcast, then you know I don't always follow this. I kind of go with the spirit. So, how did you become APETEBI? Like, what is that story?
You want to go first?
Sure. So, with me, it came through divination.
Okay.
And at the time it came through divination, I actually didn't know my husband then. I didn't meet him as well. It was just saying that you will need to marry Babalawo, you need to marry Babalawo. And not only that, this actual Babalawo is an Ogun man. Ogun man.
Got specific.
Yes.
Wow.
And so I'm like, okay, so over the years, of course, you know, being new to the tradition, you like, okay, is this one? Is this what? You don't know. You understand? So I actually did get to meet my husband where we were only friends then through mutual acquaintances. Yes. And so it was then, I think my first trip to Nigeria was for my Ogun initiation.
Okay.
And we actually met in person.
Nice.
And the wheels just started rolling from there. Yes. Divinations were done. All those good things. And so this was the man that Ifa was speaking to me. Yes,
That's
ma'am.
Beautiful.
Yes, ma'am.
I just laugh. I love stories like that because it sounds like you just went with the flow. Like,
I did.
It is what it is.
I did, because what else can you do?
And I fought it.
You fought.
Because when I was younger, I remember my mom had a friend. They were twins. And they had a thrift store. And in that thrift store, we were visiting one day, just patronizing, paying homage like we always do. My mom was big in the community. And so one of the twins turned to me and said, "You're going to marry a pastor." And I said, "I know you lied." Now, see, I always been in church. Always. I love God. I love God. I just love spirit. I love God. Always been connected to spirit. So when she told me that, I said, "I know she lied," and I moved on about my life. So when it came up in the reading that I was supposed to marry a Babalawo, I said, it can't be. I don't even know what they talk. Maybe it's going to be somebody I bring into the culture that also decides that they want to do Ifa, and then we're going to grow together. I never in a million years thought I would marry a Babalawo from birth, because my husband is a Babalawo through and through. And it actually is
Facts.
when I tell you, but it is his character, his integrity that won me. And so I would say how it happened for me to be his wife. So again, I took that picture of him, sent it to my friend and said, "Girl, we need this outfit." And then that was it. And then one day I was going to go visit a friend, Chief. He's known as Chief in the community. And the wife he had at the time, I was going to go visit her because I was getting off work early. And I said, "Girl, I ain't doing nothing. I'm going to come by." And then as I was getting ready to leave, she called me and she said, "Can you pick up so-and-so nephew?" And I said, I wanted to say no, because why you inconveniencing me? Right? But then she said, "Oh, he's only like around the corner from you." And so I looked up the address. I was like, "Yeah, that's close." I said, "I can bring him, but I'm not taking him home," because I was going to hit a corner. I'm new to Atlanta. I'm trying to see what's going on. And actually, I'm just being me. I was in a relationship prior 9 years. So if any woman can understand that, we're not trying to get in nothing else.
Right.
Soon, at least not me. And I was just trying to see what these Atlanta flowers are like, So I pick him up. he had me waiting in the car a long time. And I was like, okay, is he really here? And so I called her. I said, tell him to come on or else I'm leaving him.
Mm-hmm.
So he comes to get in the car. And I tried my best not to hold conversation with him because I just don't want to be bothered. And you know, I'm going to ask you, can I just speak plain? You know, absolutely. I'm thinking, oh God, he's African. He's going to want to marry me.
Right.
Facts. Right. But yeah, it's like, he's African. He's going to want to marry me. I'm not talking to him. Mm-hmm. And I already was dating somebody too at the time. And next thing you know, we get to a certain street, and this happens often to this day while we're in the car together. The train comes. I never get caught by this train. Didn't know he has Ogun heavy in his family.
That's crazy.
The train comes. So now you're stuck in, just like being on the elevator, it's awkward silence. You're like,
you need to talk.
You need to talk. And that's when he started having conversation with me because he was already trying, but now he's like, this, you got to talk to me now. And so he started asking me questions, and I said, he's not so bad. And by the time we made it to Chief House, a conversation that I like to talk about, and I won't get off on a tangent on this, is that the disconnect of Africans versus African Americans or Black Americans, we started having that dialogue at Chief House, and he was able to hang with me. And so I was like, okay. And he didn't like get offensive. He was very understanding. My husband speaks in parables. So he's going to...
Like Ifa.
Yes, he speaks just like Ifa. He's going to speak in parables. And... But I liked it. And I said, you know what? He didn't try to like get a vulgar or aggressive with me. He didn't try to say the things I'm saying is like wrong or anything like that. He was trying to understand me. And at the end of the night, I stayed true. I did not take him home. But he did walk me to my car and ask me out for a date. The next day, we went on a date to a local restaurant that's in our neighborhood. And we had drinks. And I was like, man, this dude is cool. I was like, we could be friends. We could definitely be friends.
Just fighting.
Yeah, fighting. We could just definitely be friends. And he invited me to Osheifa. I prayed with him. And I said, oh, now this is juicy. Now this right here. This right here. I love the way my husband pray. And that still didn't make me go, oh, I want to be with him. But it said, I need to stick close. And our friendship developed. Over time, I told him, I said, look, if you try to date me now, we breaking up in 3 months, guaranteed. Because of my attitude, my disposition, and the things I had to work through and grow through. Again, 9 years in a relationship that failed. You know, I wasn't looking to settle down. I said, but if you be my friend, it's hard for me to be mean. Yeah, it might be a chance. It's hard for me to be mean to my friends, people that I really deem my friends, because my friends turn into family. And he was patient. And then he was patient. He started to have me understand things about myself and personalities that I guess I've shied away from and didn't know and didn't understand. And he became my best friend. And now my husband. I couldn't tell him no. He was persistent.
I
love
and I thank him for that. I thank him for that. That's the other side of that. Yeah.
Yes.
I'll tell my story quick. So when I got initiated to Ifa said, but really, Ifa can be very curt, right?
Yeah.
Ifa was like, you have no husband, you came to earth by yourself. It's like, right, it was really like you have no family, you came to earth by yourself. And I'm adopted, so like that, it was a whole thing, right? Like I have no one, I have nobody, I came here by myself. I'm on a mission to do something. And I'm like, okay. And then the next message was like, so they was like, you are apetebe from nature, so you are to serve Ifa. And really from that I was like, okay, they were like, if you never got married, it would, like, sorry. And then like the next message, you know, because you got multiple people in the room. The next message was like, and her ancestors will find her a husband. Right? Your ancestors come forward and your ancestors will find you a husband. And I'm like, okay, cool. Time goes by. You know, I was divorced. And then, well, I was divorced when I became initiated to Ifam. When I got initiated. Anyway, so I'm dating, but none of that works out. Right. And I'm focusing. So I had this vision for Iwa and I was focused, y'all.
Yeah.
Uber focused. So I actually went in front of my shrine. I do that often.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so listen, I don't want to be bothered right now with any extra energy. I don't want to have sex with nobody. I don't want none of that.
Yeah.
I just want to focus on this thing because I feel like this is my mission, right? Y'all, if y'all heard me tell the story, I was like, when they did the reading for Iwa, it was my Odu that fell. So I was like, I got something to do. Let me just do it. So I was like, and Egungun, that whole thing about a husband, you're going to have to bring him through the door. Because I don't got time.
I'm not looking.
I don't got time for it. Fast forward a couple of months, I'm working on things. Things are going really well. I'm about to launch Iwa. Get a call from my now husband, who's in my phone, but just kind of like as our friend, like we had been, you know, we in the same circles. And he's like, I had a dream about you. I need to come and see you. And I'm like, okay, you know. And so I'm at my computer and he walks through the door. Mind you now, a couple of years before, Baba Eshuleke, who just passed away, right? He had did a reading and he described what my husband looked like.
Wow.
He said that he was really tall. He was a brown-skinned man. He had ancestry in the Caribbean, but wasn't from the Caribbean, but had ancestry there, and that he was around the corner. So the around the corner part is the part that's really a kicker. Because literally at the time when he walked through the door, because that's what I told my ancestors he would have to do for me to pay attention. He'd have to walk through the door on his own. He was working around the corner.
Wow.
You can't make this stuff up.
You can't.
Exactly.
You can't make this stuff up.
Exactly.
So, and the other thing is Ifa said that people call me Omishegun, right? That's the name that they should use. Oshun said that they should use that name for a specific reason, right? But then Ifa also gave me my Ifa name. And Ifa told me to pay attention to the people that call me that, right? Because when they call me that, I should pay attention. And when he sat down, because he had this dream, he literally asked, what's your Ifa name? I'm going to call you that. And when I was fighting a little bit, if he tells the story, he's going to be like, she was like, forget me. I'm focused on Iwa, blah, blah, blah. And I was. But even in that moment, I didn't tell him this. But when he said that, I was like, oh, I have to pay attention, don't I?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe. Right. Yes. But that's kind of how that all started.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So, okay. Something you posted. Maybe a year ago, maybe longer. Made me think, like, I definitely want to have this sister on this particular episode. You posted, you said, everybody wants to be a Apetebe until it's time to be a Apetebe. And I was like, oh, right? Yes. I just remember liking, I was like, how do I love this comment 1,000 times?
Yes.
That's a t-shirt.
That is a t-shirt.
That's a t-shirt.
It's a whole t-shirt.
Yes.
So, what is in your opinion, the role of a Apetebe? And, you know, just the importance of it, like what was behind, I don't want to know what's behind that. I'm saying, like, what is the role of a Apetebe to you? Like, what has that been like for you in this role?
Okay. Or we can speak about what was behind it.
It's all of it.
Because as we know, I have had the opportunity to experience being an Apetebe over in Nigeria, as well as here in the diaspora.
Wow.
So in the diaspora, with this culture, Ifa, you know, we have a lot of people that come into the culture that looks for the glamorous things in it. And a lot of people want to attach themselves to Babalawos thinking, you know, understand, but they have no full knowledge of what it requires.
Yeah.
You understand? They only see the nice cloth, the big beads, the pictures, and how, you understand, but it's very, very, very much deeper than that.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
So to me, a Apetebe refers to a woman that is dedicated to Orunmila, as we all know.
Yes.
And the Apetebe's role is to support the Babalawos in the Ifa community.
Yes.
Apetebe is very necessary, especially when it comes to Babalawos and Ifa community, because there needs, if you have an Ile, there needs to be balance. There needs to be men, there needs to be women.
Yes.
And for Babalawo, you encounter all different walks and different type of people. So it is very important for you to have a strong woman, a loving woman, an understanding woman, a compassionate woman, and a not selfish woman.
Accommodative is what Iyas.
Accommodative.
Accommodative is that word.
Absolutely. That sounds like Iyas.
Yes.
To support you on your journey.
Yes.
And so that's where that came from. Yes, ma'am. Yes,
I'll never forget that. I was like, yep.
Yes, seriously. Because it's not an easy journey.
No,
it's not an easy walk.
And it ain't as glamorous as as it looks.
It's really not, actually.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work because you find yourself, you definitely have to put others and your husband before yourself a lot of the times, especially your community. So it takes someone that has actually done the shadow work.
Oh, yes.
Someone that is not insecure.
Yes.
And that is okay with being a servant.
I'm getting chills.
Because that's what she is.
To your community.
Yeah. She's it's service.
Yes.
Right? So even if because all APETEBI are not initiated to an Orisha or to Ifa, that's not necessary. You are the wife of Orunmila, right? Mm-hmm. But you are constantly in service, just like he is, right? Because the Babalawo is in constant service of the community. And as his wife and as his support, as his helpmate, as his partner, you also are in service of the community.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, she articulated that very well. I would say it's a learning curve for the person who didn't know they were going to run into this. You know, it's a learning curve. It's when you spoke of shadow work, you really have to grow up. You thought you were mature. You thought you had it together. And then you realize, child, you are mean. You are slightly selfish. You're not only slightly selfish, you have a shelf life. You don't want to be bothered. Like the mirror is put in your face so hard that it takes you to be strong. Absolutely. It takes you to thank God for good husbands, because then that's when I had to pull on my husband and say, what? Wait a minute. Like, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? I think that's beautiful. I was able to go to Africa. That puts things in perspective when you think of APETEBI. Someone who, you see the APETEBIs that's been in the culture. I got to watch my mother-in-law, and I say, well, these are shoes? Because I was already thinking, I can't feel my mama's shoes. Now I got to feel these shoes too.
Absolutely.
So it's that mirror, that shadow work, all the things that you're faced with. Becoming a APETEBI, being in that position. It's not just, oh, I got my husband, I got my boo thing, let's go hang out, let's do the fun. No. It's like you're getting a call at 12 a.m., 1 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. It does not matter. And then you have to be in a place secure. You said, you spoke on confidence, self-esteem. You have to be in a position to be whole with yourself, because this is their work. This is what they were called to do. And now you are there too, to be not only his companion, but you have to be second in line, because he might need to pull you to do things that women naturally wouldn't do, but now you have to do it because you're a APETEBI. So you do have to learn how to be. If you're not selfless, you have to learn how to be selfless. If you are, if you are, stingy with your time, now you have to learn how to give of yourself and your time, and that is a learning curve. Definitely. So it's that's why I said that is a shirt. Everybody want to be a APETEBI until it's time to be a APETEBI. Because it is not easy.
And only true APETEBI really understand that statement. You understand? Right. It goes so deep. I can go on and on and on forever about that, because there's so many levels to it.
So many levels.
You talked about, so even when you said selfless, I think in another episode, I talked about it was the Iyalode episode where I grappled with that word because for a while, because people would be like, oh, Misha Gun is so selfless. And I would be like, I have a self. Right? Yes. I have a self, and I am present, and I'm still here. Yes. Right? And I'm not selfless.
Yes.
And then I was reading Yemisi's book, and it said, Iyalode. Like the first thing is like, Iyalode is selfless. And I was like, So let's talk about that a little bit, because she clearly, we're saying that APETEBI is a giver, right? There's a level, because the level that she has to give at. Let's talk about the self-care and I know this ain't on the list, y'all. Let's talk about the self-care in the selflessness that we have to have, because what I see a lot, and it's quiet. But APETEBI, again, I think I was talking about this in the wife episode before. If you feel isolated and if you don't have a strong support system around you, right? And he may not even have a strong support system around him. Let's talk about that, right?
Yes.
And you are his support.
Yeah.
But then who's supporting you?
Exactly.
While you supporting him?
Yes.
Right? So like, how do you take care of yourself while trying to support this entire Ile, the entire span of work as APETEBI? What does that look like?
That's one of those levels I was talking about.
Yeah.
First and foremost, Ifa is the master of today and tomorrow.
Yes.
So if you don't have anyone outside, or you can't find anyone, or you don't have that strong support system, that sisterhood, Ifa is always the one you go to.
Yes.
We know this.
Yeah.
But we all are human, and we need that sister.
Yes.
We need that person that we can physically talk to, that we can hug, that we can cry on, all the things, because all those things come with it.
Yeah.
You understand?
Who understands?
Yeah,
Like you said, who understands?
Yes.
So it's very, 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 very important for the women that think they want to be APETEBI, or the ones that have been divined to be APETEBI. Before you actually take on that role, get to know the elders in your community. Your Aluos, your elder Iyanifas, Iyas, and things like that. Build a relationship with them. With the West African culture, me personally, I advocate going to Nigeria.
Yes.
And actually living in that role. And watching and learning and things like that. Because it's very, very, very important. It's so different on the different sides of the water of what that role means. It is so different. So, because there in Nigeria, for me, I don't work. You understand? So I have more time to dedicate to my husband and the culture and the community and things like that, versus when I'm back here in America, I work. So I'm working, and I'm trying to run and support my husband and my children and family and everything else.
That's a big, major difference.
It's a big difference.
Major difference. Major difference.
It's a major difference.
Major difference, yes.
I would say you can't forget who you are in the core. Like, absolutely. Yes, you are APETEBI, and like we run an Ile, and they look to me too. And I thought I can just hide behind my husband. So I'm getting pulled left and right. I remember I was so tired, and I'm gonna get to the point, but I was so tired. But we had one of our members, they wanted me to do his Ori. He's like, yeah, please. I'm like, oh my God, you got the goat here. The goat is here. You know what I'm saying? But he really wanted me to do his Ori, so I had to muster it up, do his Ori. But I find space to detach, not from Ifa.
Yes.
But I need my quiet time, and they know once that door, they know if the door closed, slide a note under the door. Let me look at it at my leisure. If the door's open, come in. You know, and then I am a big person of self-care. I like to work out and detach so I can think, and I use my workout time to talk with God, you know, talk to Olodumare. And then I go to spas. I get massages. I love getting a spa treatment. That's my thing. And when I can travel and get close to the ocean water, I do. That's how I take care of self. I read a good book. I might look at a podcast. I might compliment. I love complimenting. So I might scroll and compliment. Those are things that help me. I love seeing women do things like this. I love seeing like things that I can build upon that reminds me to get back and have a little peace for me. You know, have a little peace for ourselves, because when you are the wife of a Babalawo, and you it's no more you. It's no more you. You are everything. You are the mother. then you are the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
You are the cook.
Mm-hmm.
You seen the day Omi was at one of our festivals. Omi, she seen me. I had one outfit on. I went in the house, put my apron on, changed clothes. Then Omi said, "Tap me in, sis," and she joined in. And I'm like, "That's what it is.
Beautiful.
That's what it is.
Yes.
That's
The
what
work
it is.
needed to be. I mean, and we were beautifully dressed.
Yes.
Right. It was festival time, but that goat whatever it was, goat, pigs. It needed
so
the
many
work
animals.
needed to be cleaned. Like the meat needed to be cleaned.
Yes.
And we knew what to do, and no one and we did it because it needed to be done.
It needed to be done.
You know what I mean? And it wasn't like you had students that were sitting around. Everybody was working.
Everybody was working.
You know what I mean? And so I think that is like, so when people be like, and the people do that, like, yeah, you're serving plates, or yeah, you're cleaning the goat.
Cleaning the goat,
If that's what needs to be done right now, then that's what I'm doing because I'm about this work.
That's
that
right.
I'm about this work.
APETEBI is work.
It's absolutely work.
Nobody's left behind. Literally.
Yes.
I say.
Yes.
So how did you all you said you went to Nigeria for I guess training, if you will.
Right.
You know, so but what about you, Yode? Like, was there
I was there for 22 days. So I do want to spend more time, but it hasn't permitted me to spend more time than that. But I was there for 22 days, and they literally, my husband's family wouldn't let me touch nothing, realistically. That part.
I experienced that as
they
well.
They don't want me to touch nothing.
I did.
I'm trying, but I've got to observe. And I watched, so at our Ile, we have the area, the grounds to be able to break down animals and do that. And I know every Ile is not, able to do that. That's neither here or there. But because we have that, and my husband is from Oshogbo, and he is the Babalawo from birth. I say that because I don't think there was a day that he didn't think he was going to be a Babalawo from the family. And me watching his little nephew, who is throwing a leke like it's an apele. I know he from birth is a Babalawo.
Yeah.
So watching them take an animal in Shogbo, a goat, break it down and feed the whole village.
Yes.
I'm like, what? So I got to do, this is the expectation. So I'm thinking, okay, our animals have to move. Just because we can break them down, now these animals need to be moved and the meat need to be cooked. And there's so many levels to that. And that's, I guess, a whole nother topic and conversation for different Iles out here in Atlanta. But let's break our animals down. Let's cook them. Let's eat them. Let's feed the Ifa. Let's eat. Because that's what they do in Oshogbo. You know, and to see...
Oh, you're talking about people throwing animals away, which is...
It's crazy. We should never hear these stories about goat heads and goat bodies being left in the water. That's your blessings. So in Oshogbo, they're breaking them down. And I'm watching his mom delegate. She's delegating from morning up to night. A kid came with a bump on their leg. She's telling somebody, here, get this, get that,
get this material,
get this, fix whatever that is. A lady's having birth because his mom delivers, his uncle delivers. He knows how to deliver babies, so that's part of probably their family lineage that deliver baby. A woman just had a baby and she want me to hold it, and I'm like, being a Western woman, by happenstance. I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't even shower yet. You don't want to put a dab on me or what? That's totally different culture. Yeah, totally different culture. She didn't pop the baby out like, you hold it.
Yes.
Me. Now, so, but watching his mom be a delegator, I guess a master delegator, APETEBI has to be, because she's fixing wounds, she's delivering babies, she's feeding the whole village, she's buying goods for the child who's carrying the goods on their heads, so that they can feel that they're important. She takes what she has and she shares it. What I seen his mom do, which gave me an understanding, was they shared. And I didn't realize how stingy I was because I come in with all my alcohol. To be honest, I have the gins and I'm giving gifts, but now I have my own personal. And I'm looking like, I know y'all don't think this mine. Y'all had y'all. No, they give, they share.
They do.
And that taught me a lot.
Yes.
Share it. What are you hoarding it for?
Yeah.
I'm like, I got about 7 days left.
That's the
They're like,
Western. That's the Western
The kind
mentality.
I'm like,
Serious.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
the difference. You know, is they have a share mentality. This is the community. This is we're giving. We, you know, where I'm over here hoarding, like I can drink it all or something like that. So
do you all think there's a difference? Like, what in the difference of in between being a wife and being an apetebe? Like, I know we know there's a functional difference, but like do you think is it more responsibility, or like, what do you think? Or
I would say yes, because a wife, if I was just a wife, I would have a lot of escapism in me, you know, and I started off as a wife. I know. I'm very transparent. I started off as a wife. I said, I have my relationship with God. I'm doing my Ifa thing, but that's your thing. You go do that.
Yes.
You go do the temple thing. You go do the EA thing. That's not me.
So that's it. Yeah.
That's it there. That's it right there.
That's it
right
I've
there.
learned to know the difference of being over there. There are some Babalawo that are married to women that are not into the Orisha practice. So those women, even though they do support their husband when it comes to different functions of like initiations thing, they may cook food and things like that, but they strictly just do that. As far as if it's an apetebe, you know, she's there with the issues, she's there, everything.
She organizing.
Everything. You understand?
Yes.
As well as raise children.
Yes.
Take care of the house.
Yes.
And things of that nature.
And all the regular wife duties that
all
come.
of the
Yes.
I
would also say, like, I started off as a wife. I married the Babalawo, you know, kind of concept, but because I realized my marriage is to Orunmila, the obligation grows. The obligation grows because then you realize you're called to do more, naturally. You're called to do more. You're called to perform more. You're called to grow up. I love to play. You know, I'm a jokester. I like to play. I like to be in my own world. And they say, baby, you gotta grow up a little bit.
Yes.
You gotta grow up a little bit.
That was huge for me too. I mean, hearing, you know, your apetebe by nature, right? Like that's how you came to earth. And you could have a physical husband or not, you know. That's what so Ifa told me, like that was the message, like when you need a husband, right, when you need the role of a husband to provide, to protect, right, you come to me. So I go to my Ifa for that. And my husband is still there in the physical, right, and I understand, I have a deep understanding, like you said, like it's, for me, it's something more. Yes. Right. It's something more. My commitment is more as a apetebe, because I am committed to Orunmila, not just Kolade.
Yes.
Right. And I don't mean just Kolade, but I mean, maybe, you know, because he is a man and you know, my service is to Orunmila.
Yes.
And so he may get on my nerves.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And does get on my nerves. And I love him. All those things are true. And my service is to Orunmila.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
So let's talk about, we brought in the notion of all of the things about a Babalawo, right? In our previous episode of Wife, we kind of touched on this some more, a little bit. We talked about polygyny, right? And that being a part of our tradition. And for Babalawos, you have some Babalawos who are told, right? Because the role of Babalawo is so big. There are, you know, they could be in different cities. They could be, they're serving a lot of people, right? We've seen the Odu Ifa corpus, right? Orunmila had plenty wives, right? How do you all feel about polygyny in our traditions, polygyny in our community? And yeah, like what has been your feelings about, you know, polygyny altogether?
Me personally, I would just want to know who wants to go first. Me.
You gonna take this or should I?
Right. Me personally, I do genuinely advocate for polygamy if it's done correctly.
I say.
Being a wife alone without being an apetebe is hard work.
Period.
Yes. So I do believe that there are different roles that need supporting with it. You understand what I'm saying? And two, I'm gonna be quite frank. I be tired.
Hello, somebody.
Tag, you are it. It is your time. You understand what I'm saying?
Hello, somebody.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and when you marry someone, us being in this tradition, we all believe in our destinies, right?
Yes.
So who am I? If this has come up for you to be a part of your destiny, who am I to tell you you can't partake in your destiny?
Right.
If I love you, I'm going to support you in your destiny.
Yes.
And by all means, you understand what I'm saying? So if that's for you, then that's for you. Let's do this. Let's rock around. As long as it's done correctly. You understand? And community and family building is great. You have other cultures and people that have been doing this for years.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because some people are naturally divined with their esentaye to be apetebis. But then there are those of us that come along in the diaspora that didn't grow up with that type of background, and we are just now learning. To Dafa that we should be apetebis and married to Babalawos.
Yes.
That we may be past our childbearing years and things like that, but this man needs children.
Absolutely.
Who am I to take that from him? You understand what I'm saying? I love that for you.
I like that.
I love that for you.
Yes.
It's back to what you were saying, Osunyode, about like the selfishness, right?
Yes.
In Apetebi, like just having to like really kill that, right? Like in killing your ego, right? And understanding that in this role, it is not all about you.
It's not,
right?
At all.
Because that might be also one of the differences between wife and apetebi, right? Because in as a wife, right, I think there is a level of like you said, like I could just go off and do my own thing. But in this role, I've committed to something bigger. I've committed to something larger. And there is some deeper understanding. And I love what you said about it being, I think a lot of men may be surprised to find out how many women actually are fine with polygyny when it is done with integrity, when it is done with wisdom, when it is done with emotional intelligence.
And genuinity.
Say it again.
Genuinity.
Yes.
Okay, so y'all ready?
Yes.
I love this conversation because I love to tell people, although I am open to the conversation, it's a lot of people don't qualify.
That is another thing.
And that's that.
Yes.
I believe in it. And to be honest, to be transparent, I thought before I met my husband, I thought it was and not just, because I met him. It was very much on the table for me because of what my goals were, the things I was looking to accomplish, the how busy I am. I'm a workhorse. I love to work. I love to get out there. I love to have adventures. I love to explore. So I was definitely entertaining the idea at that time. Not that I don't think of it now. It's just that your relationship, first of all, you have to qualify as a man to hold down multiple wives.
Absolutely.
And a lot of time, definitely, we see such misrepresentation of it that you go, just leave it alone because a lot of men send the wrong message in the wrong symbolism out. They don't qualify. They don't run their house well. They betas. How are you a beta and have multiple wives? You can't be a beta with multiple wives. That's an alpha role. That in my
big dog status,
big dog. Okay, because you have to lead women.
And
you can look at a household, you got multiple women, it's toe up. And y'all broke, and that's weird. Okay, so
she's
I love it. You ain't
that's
the truth.
Yes, that's the truth. No lies whatsoever.
So
all facts. All facts.
I do believe in it because I believe it can work for a lot of relationships. I believe that a lot of households can thrive. There's women sharing men.
Right now.
Already.
This moment.
And fighting.
Right.
And fighting about it instead of coming together and building an empire.
Yeah.
you know, and utilizing each other's resources, utilizing each other's talents and gifts to grow something amazing and big. So I am for it, like you said, like you guys both said, done with integrity, done the right way, done with you said with genuineness. Like it has to be done correctly, and you have to qualify, and you have to know there's a time and a place. Every relationship is not ready. That doesn't mean 10 years from now that relationship wouldn't be ready. You know,
patience is a virtue.
Patience is a virtue. So if you're running towards this type of lifestyle and your stuff is out of order, this is not the time. You can't you can't be a male. You own nothing, and you have 3-4 women. That's weird. Strange.
Oh, not only that, the women that want to join the party, you can't come to the table with nothing.
Hello, somebody.
I've
had that conversation
a certain
with a
level because
with a few.
Me, as I know myself and what I bring to the table as well. So if we are to build, you can't build with someone that's not have bricks.
Some
women make their own bricks.
Some women don't qualify.
Yeah.
Some women don't qualify.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful thing if done correctly.
Yeah. I'm not to cut you off, sis, but I was trying to think of a thing I seen on Instagram. This guy was talking about, he said a man has 2 wives. He marries the land and then he marries his woman because he has to have somewhere for her to go. So how are you over here with multiple women and you own no land?
Something for you to think about out there. Something for you to think about out there.
Let's get a little something established before you start having multiple women and then have them fighting each other when you really can have something beautiful and big. You can build an empire with the right way. My husband's grandfather had 5 wives. So I would be silly to be like, my husband ain't gonna have multiple wives, or he cannot. I have to explore that idea. His grandfather had 5. But his grandfather also told him, you want to live long, keep one. That part. So I bring that up to him too. But I actually got to see the rooms in which his grandfather wives stayed. And when they passed, they were buried in those rooms. So that's something different that they do on the motherland.
Absolutely.
You know, Shogbo.
Absolutely.
Here. They had their space.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, as we dwindle down, what advice can you give to women who may be considering dating a Babalawo, or getting to know a Babalawo, or maybe becoming a APETEBI? What's some advice that you can give from your experience?
Know yourself first.
Ashe.
Do your shadow work.
Ashe.
Because as we stated before, being married to a Babalawo and a APETEBI requires selflessness.
Yes.
On all levels. You know, when we marry as a wife, we think, oh, that's my husband. He should do this. He's entitled to. No, your husband, your community will come before you at times.
Yes.
A lot.
And you have to be okay with that when it comes to your husband, right? You see what I'm saying? Do your research. Definitely stay true to Ifa.
Ashe.
And your Luos and your elder community.
Yes.
And just get to know someone before you actually make that dive. As they were saying before, know the family, know the history, know the background, and things like that.
Yes.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
That's good advice. My advice is to have, and I recommend this for anyone that's getting married, but especially if you're getting married to a Babalawo, you need to ensure, Iyas was just saying this, but ensure that you have identified elders in your community who you can go to and speak with, that you trust.
Yes.
Because when, and I said when, not if, but when you are in need of assistance and help, when you need a trusted ear and somewhere to fall, you can't fall nowhere in the Ile. You can't really fall nowhere in the community either. It's not the place to be telling your business to anybody. You have to have trusted individuals. And it might not be your mother and father, because they may not understand none of this. They may not understand any of this. So that means you have to have someone in the community, 2, maybe 3, right? A man and a woman, right?
Yes.
Because there's that perspective. You're married, right?
Yes.
So there's that perspective. So having a man, having a woman that you both can go to, that you both trust, so that when there's things that are going on, like we're having problems. It's beyond us right now, right? We need some counsel. Who do you go to, and what does that look like for you? That's very important.
Very important.
Like I told you, being apetebe, being wife, it can be a lonely, isolating place if you do not have people around you to assist you. And that's how we don't want that for our women. We don't want that for our sisters. That's not what Ifa wants for anybody.
No. Especially because Ifa is such a community type of culture. I would say when it comes down to advice for anybody that thinking that they want to be a wife, apetebe of Orunmila, you need to know who you are. Yes. Know why you want to be a wife. Or were you called to do it? Maybe it came up in your reading. So if it came up in your reading, you know it's on your path. That doesn't mean you date the first person that said they a Babalawo.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
I had Babalawo say, I'm a Babalawo, you my wife. Okay, that does not mean that's your husband.
Last episode.
Yes,
cut it out, bro.
Stop it. But know who you are. Know yourself, like you said. Know yourself. Know if you need to do the shadow work, do the shadow work, and then date your husband. Date your potential husband. Understand who he is before you say I do. This though, to me, the rules still apply. In the culture, you got to understand who you decided to say yes to.
Yes.
So that way you don't do yourself a disservice and you don't do him a disservice. Because the shoes is some big shoes to fill. You know, these are men who've already had a mother, you know, and their mother, if they're the culture, I'm sure, and their mother was a apetebe, they have already an idea, a standard. So talk with them and see if they can connect you with their mother. Have a good relationship with the family, like you said, with the elders. Have a good relationship with the family. Ask for help.
That part.
Shadow.
Ask for help. Yeah.
Shadow somebody else doing what they do. Get around good women. Get around his family. Get around good women and say, I need help. I don't understand. Be transparent. Because vulnerable. This is, be vulnerable.
A lot of vulnerability.
It takes a lot of vulnerability. Because if you have a good husband, he wants you to win anyway. My husband has been the biggest support system in this culture in regards to my role. Because I didn't know the role. I didn't want the role. You know, I just did it. I was like, look, yo, we could be friends. We can just hang out. We can go to carnival. Yeah. Right? We can play, like, you know, but in all seriousness, my relationship with God never wavers. So, you know, keep your relationship strong with Olodumare, God, whatever you call your higher power. You know, be transparent. Marry a good man with good integrity, good character, because it's going to help you, you know, in your role as an apetebe. At least it has for me, being a woman born here in this diaspora, because I didn't know.
You have to love what you do.
You have to love it.
You have to genuinely care about people.
Yes.
And this culture and this community.
Yes.
You understand? That will take you a long way.
Yes.
You have to do and be of servant without how do I want to say that? You might not always receive help me out, ladies.
Appreciation.
Yes.
What,
there
compliments?
You go. Yes.
Anything.
You
anything.
understand?
Yeah.
You do a lot of things for free. You do a lot of things just because. But
you're not going to get good. Thank yous may come later.
Yes.
The thank you may come from somebody else.
Yes. So it has to be with you to say, I feel good. I was able to help my sister or my brother or whoever in this community, as well as supporting your husband. I was able to help them and be okay with that genuinely.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It's a lot of growth.
So yes.
It's a lot of growing.
Yes.
Thank you all. I mean, I appreciate you all's candor and your, you know, you sharing your stories and your own vulnerability, you know, in this conversation. I think, you know, I was telling y'all that this is one of the episodes that people have been asking for, right? Can you talk about wife? Can you talk about apetebe? I'm so confused. I don't know. Can you talk about dating? Can you talk about these things? So us being willing to share our experiences, you know, can really be helpful to someone who doesn't know.
Yes.
You know, who really doesn't know.
Yes.
So when we end on Voices of IWA, we pray for the people. And I would like us to say a special prayer for apetebe, right? She always praying for everybody. I'm not even sure if I ever heard a prayer for apetebe before. So I'm going to sit and take it in, whoever wants to pray. But can we pray for our our fellow APETEBI sisters.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all gonna put me in the hot spot. Okay.
My
Mother Oshun, please make us strong like the bullet of Oshun.
I say.
Anyone that's enemy to me or any of the ladies here, please cover their success for them and put us on top of them.
Yes.
My Mother Oshun, come into our life and bring us more prosperity, wealth, success, abundance, joy, peace, happiness, admiration of our peers. And just continue to fill our hearts with love. Let us continue to represent you, Yeye Oshun, as the person that you, as the Orisha that you are. Let us be a person that amplifies who you are and speak of you with the candor and dignity that you deserve, Yeye Oshun. I pray that we are able to carry your name the way you deserve it to be carried in this life. Give us the strength that we need to carry on and touch other people's life. Give us the strength that we need to do the work of the Orishas and to honor the Orishas in the way that we're supposed to. Ashe.
Ashe. Oreyeyo.
Oreyeyo.
Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Voices of IWA. Thank you all for joining us. We will see you next week, Wednesday. And thank you all for being in this episode.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Have a lovely night. Odabo.
Adabo.
Yema kankare, yema kama, yema kankare, yema